So Tipu, once again, thank you very much for joining us on this podcast. Just getting to know you in personal, so that we can get into your professional and see what's been happening. How has the merger and acquisition from Discover to Capital One treating you? What is your contribution towards the role? And can you just take us through that?
It's been interesting, just like every merger, right? Merger and acquisition, there's never I come from a transformation background, right? Some from EY and joined Discover and then Capital One. So a lot of things have happened, particularly when you're in the strategy and transformation space. Every day is kind of a new challenge. So it's been pretty interesting, going on a lot of different things happening, and I'm actually looking forward to this year in terms of what's in store.
Brilliant. And in your experience, how has the role of technology and digital leadership evolved in the last 10 years? Or let's say 5-10 years, ever since we've been talking about AI and transformation, etc.
Yeah, so I've been in the transformation space for close to 20 years.
Okay.
One of the things, specifically when it comes to tech transformation, right? When we talk about the tech organization, traditionally, it has always been like a cost-related organization, right? It's about, well, let's use technology to reduce costs. And particularly in my EY days, part of my aim was to move it away from being a cost center to more like a strategic partner. And that's happening a lot these days.
Sure.
It's still not where I would say it needs to be, but we are going towards that. Fundamentally, if we think about what digital leaders need to do, these days digital leaders can't just go and make a case to the tech organizations, right? If they're trying to make transformations, they also need to take those cases to the products. They need to take the case to the business organizations. They need to take the case to the board. So the responsibility of digital leaders has also significantly changed, associating with the change in how a technology organization itself is functioning, moving away from a cost center to more like a strategic partner. The digital leaders themselves are also adapting to that particular change, trying to create that case for change across the enterprise and not just sitting within the tech organization. I would say that is the biggest evolution that I've seen over the last decade.
Brilliant. And thanks for sharing that with us. How do you align technology priorities with the overall of your business goals, especially you handle a bigger role at the moment with the Discover. So how do you align technology priorities that's meeting your business goals?
That is a classic problem. So pretty much all my life, one of the things that I've focused on is trying to be a bridge between business and tech.
Sure.
And I use this particular quote. First of all, I make this particular joke, right? Sometimes it's like managing the relationship between business and tech. It's probably one of the most difficult relationships to manage. It's because it's not like they don't do what they're supposed to do. It's just because they don't understand each other as effectively as needed. And one of the ways I've always thought about creating that bridge is from a business standpoint, from a technology standpoint, what technology people need is to understand the purpose in terms of what they're building, in terms of what they're delivering. From a business standpoint, what they actually need from tech is transparency. A lot of situations, I've had business leaders come in and say, "Hey, I asked for this particular product, or I asked for this particular feature. I just don't know what's going on with it." So what they need is transparency in terms of not just delivery, in terms of cost, in terms of pipelines and capacity and things like that. So it's kind of that creating that particular bridge. And to me, that all comes down to the concept of purpose, right? How do you define the purpose from a business standpoint? And from a tech standpoint, how do you deliver to that particular purpose? I think that creates the right linkage between business priorities and what my technology is trying to deliver.
Wonderful. So what's more challenging, technology change or a cultural change?
That's an easy question. So it's definitely it's definitely the people change, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Usually when we talk about transformations, we talk about, hey, if I need to transform something, I need to transform my process, I need to transform my technology, and I need to help, my transformation with my people. The first two things are the most predictable and easy things to do. Although we spend a lot of time doing it, those are the easy things to do, mainly because they're predictable. People are the least predictable of the lot.
Yeah.
So it becomes the most challenging I whenever I talk about change management, one of the things I remember is I was presenting at this particular workshop with a bunch of business leaders, and the solution you're specifically talking about was pretty simple. It was about trying to better understand demand and capacity. And we were presenting saying, hey, how about you don't track anything? You have no idea in terms of where your people are spending time. So how about one of your leaders just in a very, kind of a benchmarking sort of a way, just put a distribution of what kind of work is being done across your team. And believe me that I had like 4 leaders just stand up and just walk out of the room, just like that, because it was the most simplest change. But when we try to implement that change, we realize how much resistance we get from people, even for the most simplest of things. So that's when I realized sometimes, it's not change management kind of starts from day 0. It's not about when you're implementing the change, even before, when you're actually conceiving what you need to do and what you're trying to transform. Your change management needs to start right there, and you need to bring people along on that particular journey. I think that becomes really, really key and important.
Absolutely. I mean, I could second that more, because among the podcasts that we have done, and we have come across many CTOs, CEOs, and CIOs, they all say the same thing. Cultural change is the biggest, challenge that they have come across, because it's all about people from all walks of life walking into and come with different ideas, and they just have to fit in within that specific attire. So that's what everybody, and I just wanted to see your perspective as well, because I just want to see, at least if there is someone who says that technology challenge is the biggest, technology change is the biggest challenge. So I want to check on that.
If someone says that, to be honest, I mean, there might be someone who says it. I don't want to discount them, but
yeah. So Tipu, the world is going towards AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how has your approach to security and risk evolved through this AI and the cloud adoption?
So fundamentally, the more digital we get, one of the challenges or one of the key priorities for us has to become security, because everything sits in digital spaces, whether it's cloud or wherever be it, and it becomes very much prone to vulnerabilities, right?
Sure.
So, but here's the thing about specifically security, and coming from a strategy innovation space, one of the things about security is also I have to be cognizant in terms of how I use security.
Yeah.
Using too much security is a challenge, because it stifles a lot of things. Specifically, it stifles innovation. It creates too much bureaucracy, stops you from being able to do quite a few things. And specifically coming from financial services, even for simple changes, I remember one of the changes I was trying to do was connect Power BI to Snowflake, and we did not have the pipelines that existed. It might seem we had licenses for both these tools. Creating a pipeline sounds pretty simple, but because all the security complications that we had, we couldn't get that done. So I had to create a workaround around it. So it kind of stifles innovation. But at the same time, having too less of security also becomes a challenge, because of all the data, all the information that sits out there, which might be prone to risks. It becomes important for us to balance that out. So fundamentally, what I think about is my solution to that usually aligns towards lean and minimalism approaches. Basically, use what you need. We have way too much data, way too much information. When we try to optimize it to what we need, we put the right level of security and right level of operations around it, instead of trying to go and safeguard everything that's out there in our domain. And that kind of becomes the fundamental for AI that we are trying to build, because AI builds on all these different things. So that's how I try to think about balancing it, particularly towards how operationally efficient we can get and put guardrails around it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. In fact, Thank you so much for sharing about it. It's all about different perspective and how exactly certain technologies that's been evolved and bringing into the new age transformations affects many of the existing environments. So, having said that, what are the misconceptions that many great leaders have today about AI? Or, in your experience, what have you heard from people talking about? You must be attending a lot of conferences, people sharing from your walk of life about AI. What have you been heard, and you think they are totally having this misconception about AI today?
That's a very hot topic, right? So I think
True.
when it comes to AI, the biggest misconception I would say is, first of all, we are over promising. That's my opinion in terms of what AI can solve. The reason we are over promising, I think it's because we think AI is this magic pill that's going to solve everything, and that creates that behavior to over promise, because not everything can be solved through AI. We have to identify. AI is phenomenal, but there are specific use cases where it provides a lot of value. In other use cases, it just becomes an additional overhead. So we should be able to balance that out. One thing I always say is, to me, the way I look at AI, if I can think about an analogy, I think about it like the penthouse, right? It's shiny. It looks awesome. If you're living in the penthouse, you feel like a king or a queen. It's amazing.
Yes.
But in order to get to that penthouse, you got to do a lot of different things to be able to
True that.
penthouse. You got a lot of foundational things that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that is where I think a lot of challenge happens. People jump too fast to deliver something through AI without thinking about the foundations, which is going to be around, things around like data and applications and integration and, beyond all that stuff, how you structure your organization before AI can actually deliver value. So that is what I would say in terms of the misconception that we have to put a little more effort into building our foundations before we can get the best benefit out of AI.
Absolutely. So having said that, right, we talk about, or you have mentioned about data and application, and AI predominantly works around the data side, or more to do with data. So today, how are the organizations turning data into actual business value, not just dashboards?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Just like I was talking about the evolution of technology, the evolution of data has also taken its own path. Initially, we were in a process of trying to get data, like let's collect the data in as many places as possible. We want to rank some, basic models and things like that. We don't have enough data. So the whole point was about collecting the data and getting the maturity of the data to in a good place. So that was a problem we were trying to solve. Right now, I think we're in a place where we have a lot of data. We've gotten a lot of data. The next step was around trying to get the data into proper, let's say, information, right? And that was around building analytics and things like that. So that was a challenge that we are trying to solve, and we are trying to get there as well. Of course, there's other issues, but we are in a good place. I think right now, the way I think about it is, the real challenge is not around what information we need, but it's about what do we do with that information? What are we trying to achieve with that information? Like you mentioned dashboards, right?
Yeah.
Dashboards provide information. Dashboard provides you data. It doesn't necessarily tell you what to do with it.
Yes.
And that's where I think a lot of the skill set changes from a pure technology skill set and more like a business skill set of critical thinking, judgment.
Yeah.
How do leaders implement their leadership priorities, things like that. One approach I would suggest, and I've used that, is I consider myself pretty analytical. So I try to take a hypothesis-driven approach. So you start from what you're trying to solve, right? Define your business problem, create your problem statement, and try to solve it. And then use your data, your information to see if it backs that hypothesis up. If it backs it up, then that hypothesis is a valid hypothesis. So if you're trying to be like, hey, I'm going to move all my resources to offshore, I mean, that's a great hypothesis to have. See if your data actually backs it up.
Yes.
And then make a decision out of it. So that's one way where you take data all the way to dashboarding, to actually making meaningful decisions, so that you can progress as a company.
Indeed. Yeah, that was a spot on. In fact, any management decision is not an easy decision, is what I have come across, or the people that we have interviewed have come across. But when you said analytics or analyze something is one of the skills, what are some of the skills that you think are not negotiable in terms of a transformation, a technology transformation?
One fundamental perspective that we have, at least the way I see it, is the concept of versatility is a kind of like an underrated skill set. Because when people try to go and hire, they look for one particular skill and they try to hire people who know that particular skill really, really well. Sometimes it does not translate as much, right? And particularly what happens in the age of AI, in my opinion, is versatility becomes the key, because a lot of the tech related aspects, particularly when it comes to transformation, there are a lot of tools out there that will help you get what you want. The challenge becomes is, how do you apply that to the broader context? And how do you get that change implemented in the organization? That becomes a huge challenge. And I usually think about, so I'm not in any way saying you don't need technical skill set. You do need technical skill set, right? Fundamentally, you have to be, for a transformation leader, I think you have to be technically aware. You have to be technically knowledgeable. The key area where I think transformation leaders find a lot of success, in my opinion, is, I call them the power skills. The power skills is around, how do you translate the technical knowledge into actual deployment and adoption across the organization. And that comes down to how do you work with people, how do you engage people, how do you basically evaluate balance between ambition with reality, how do you tell a story to be able to get people accept your suggestion. So that becomes the make or break skills, in my opinion. That's where I would put it, and that's where I would say, if you want to go up the ladder in transformation, technical skills, I'm not going to discount that. That's important. You be aware, knowledgeable, but it comes with experience, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, when you said about storytelling, I was recently listening to Jack Ma, and he was mentioning that one who can tell the story perfectly will be able to get the message reached to a larger audience at a great lightning speed. So I understand where you come from, when you talk about storytelling being one of the key skills.
Yeah, to that point, I just want to make one comment, right? I always use this particular quip. It doesn't matter if you have 100 great ideas. What matters is if you can sell one good idea. So it's about that convincing people that what you're trying to say is actually meaningful. It's actually valuable. So I completely understand and agree with what you just said about Jack Ma. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think he comes from a very humble background, and built an empire all by himself. And among the journey, he all these nuggets of information has made into a proper skill set that they would have built over a period of time, which is why they still remain successful and changing to or adopting to changes. So Tipu, we speak about the broader technology teams and the skill set and everything. Now, in your role, I'm sure that there will be wingmen, henchmen. I mean, I'm just joking, but there are certain talents that you really don't want to lose them, come whatever may, and you want to retain it. So what kind of strategies that you put in place to make sure that you retain certain talents that you do not want to lose to the competitive market?
So it's funny. Every time you do a transformation engagement, specifically related to technology, the constant underpinning thing is like, hey, I want to automate this, I want to digitally transform this so that I can do it more, I can do more work with less people. That's kind of like the go-to thing about any particular transformation. In my experience, one thing I've seen is every time a transformation happens, you end up needing more people. Every time you introduce technology, you end up needing more people. The reason is most of the organizations that do transformations don't start from scratch. They already have like a huge landscape, complicated data and applications and infrastructure. Now you're trying to add a new automation into that particular landscape. What happens is you end up creating more digital touch points. And now you need more people to manage those touch points. And there are ways to resolve that, right? Like there are other ways to help resolve it, but more often than not, that's what happens. I always advocate for not selling a transformation as a way to cost cut or like reduce headcount. Selling a transformation as a reinvestment idea is where I think helps a lot. And specifically with that aspect, how do we reinvest people? That means and transformation is very key, because transformation is kind of like an experiential knowledge. You don't get that in classrooms. You don't get that in books. You need to go through the experience to understand the nitty-gritties of working with multiple stakeholders, different kinds of challenges and things like that.
Yeah.
Two things I always think about is, okay, if I want to make a person who learns be valuable to the team, is I need to make sure that they are challenged in terms of what they do today. So the intent is to help them learn and grow in the role that they do today. The second thing is be valuable. Do I understand, specifically for my team, right? Do I understand, do the people have a pathway to get to where they want to go? Because some people like being where they are. Some people want to grow. Some people want to learn. There's so many different, learn different things. So understanding their aspirations in terms of the future also helps a lot. So combining challenging their current work with providing them a path towards being able to achieve their aspirations is a place where I think talent retention or talent management, I think, shines, and I try to put a lot of effort there.
Absolutely. So you have mentioned that challenges and upskilling a certain person who is willing to learn goes hand in hand, and they become a very valuable asset to the organization, and certain talents you really want to keep them, right? Now that we are nearing to the closure of this podcast, I've got a couple of more questions, right? Because you are a very technical person, right? Now, how do you bridge the gap between the technical and non-technical stakeholders
So
in your organization, from your organization perspective?
Yeah. So it goes back to one of my previous questions I said, right? Like managing the priorities between the business folks and the technology folks is the most difficult relationship in an organization. A couple of things I can think about in terms of being able to achieve it is, one comes down to collaboration and communication, right?
Sure.
Nothing is better than getting people together to work together, help them clearly communicate what's needed to the other person. So that becomes kind of like the key process enabler of trying to make sure each person understands what they want. So it's about the technical person understanding what the non-technical needs are, and what non-technical person understanding the technical needs. Comes down to business needing transparency and technology needing purpose.
Sure.
But other key thing, I think, underrated and much more difficult is the concept of empathy and emotional intelligence. One of the things around transformations is you work with so many different people, with so many different incentives, so many different objectives, because most of these transformation folks don't just do the transformation. They got their day jobs and then they do transformations along with the day jobs. So understanding where they come from, getting a little bit of empathy into the process, understanding what their emotional incentives are, why they are doing it in a certain way, helps a lot. I always talk about we are all like circles in a Venn diagram. What we need to focus on is where those circles intersect. And that's exactly where you find common ground and where you can actually successfully drive the transformation forward. So I think that's kind of the key fundamentally for any successful transformation.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that, Tipu. So in your current role, this is my last question. So in your current role, what are the technologies that you are really looking forward to implement in the near future, so that you think it is an ideal environment for you to make sure that the business is running smooth?
Two things I would say.
Yeah.
One, from a technology standpoint, but also for the technology to be successful, there are certain things we got to. So I'm a big proponent of operating model.
Sure.
So technology is great, but when we implement the technology needs to be successful. It needs to be adopted. It needs to be well perceived. An operating model is what helps do that. So if I think about just from a technology standpoint, I'm gonna just say AI is a great is where the world is going. So I'm definitely excited by AI, but where in the operating model standpoint is understanding what are the places AI adds the most benefit. So we don't need to use AI for every single thing.
Sure.
Understand what the value stream is, understand what the core objectives of what we are trying to automate or what we are trying to digitally transform. And AI needs to become like an embedded layer within that particular transformation. We shouldn't be looking at AI as a completely different siloed stack. So that's kind of like my theory of the case in terms of what I would like to do, leveraging AI for the future.
Really wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tipu. I really value all the insights that you have shared with me from a leader perspective as well as a management professional perspective. So we look forward to have you come and share with us more valuable insights that the technology is adopting in this market. At the same time, from a CTO perspective or a CIO perspective, where the world is going and how exactly that we as individuals can make a change and build a mark in this market. So once again, thank you so much for joining in this podcast. Definitely look forward to hosting you another time.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate your time. Great questions, and had a great time sharing some of my thoughts. So thanks a lot, Krishna. Appreciate your time.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too. See you.